Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our monthly appointment with TechTalk. TechTalk is a special series of talks about innovation, about technology, about ideas, mostly to help all our members in enhancing their knowledge, being always ahead of the curve in terms of ability in understanding the future trend in the market, the future movers and shakers of the market. So today, our VP Innovation and Technology, Vivienne Young, has been inviting a very special speaker. After welcoming you all and wishing you all anticipated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, I pass the stage to Vivienne for a short introducing of the speaker. Vivienne, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel. Thank you, Dr. Daniel. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is our second MPA TechTalk after the launching in October. During the launch, do you remember one of our speakers, Joe, who teased us about software monetization? How can we create more revenue streams for our solution? I bet you have gone through a lot of pain to develop your application. Months and months of hard work, thinking and planning what to develop, how to develop, and most importantly, how to market. Can we minimize revenue leaks yet improving operational efficiency? Wow, that's a lot to grasp, right? As a solutionist, we always find ways to protect our intellectual property. We're no longer friends. Today, we have Joe, who is a very passionate and experienced IT consultant, providing solutions to enterprises specializing in software monetization and application security. Today, he manages a team of specialists assisting companies not only in the ASEAN region, but in the Australia and New Zealand region as well, to help them to maximize their revenue. He is currently a doctoral candidate at KDU with an active research in studying the behavior of adoption using software license and monetization tool for the local region. I shall not take too much of your time, and now I shall pass the floor to Joe. Joe, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Dr. Daniel. I think first of all, I would like to thank MPA to set up this opportunity for us to share the concept of software monetization. And I hope I bring some ideas, what is happening and trending in this market now that can help, especially software vendors company to be able to really, increasing the revenue and most important, also protect the assets, of the software. So myself actually is person to be in this involved in this industry for almost about 6 years across the whole region. ASEAN and also Australia and New Zealand. So that will be something that I can share, even some of the use case, in a way that while I'm giving the presentation, and hope it will be useful for you guys as together. Yeah. So the first slide, why I want to put software is equal to money, because today all this trending investment is in the tech companies, no matter you are from, all the mechatronics, semiconductors, softwares, enterprise softwares, everything is equal to like a software. But software is a very important, asset for business aspect. Okay, so one of the let me just change. One of the research given by one of the vendors, like strongest vendor, leading market vendors, Thales, Sentinel, against work on their customer base, and ask them, what's the reason that you choose us as a software monetization tools for your business? Basically, I think the 75% of all the companies actually reply and responded that that's because we want to make more money. We just want to make more money from using your tools. Very important, very straightforward from there. So that become a key important and questions how and why this thing can be really help you to make more money. Yeah. So maybe just a warm-up question for all of you, and to check, maybe on the floor, how many of you actually heard of software monetization, the buzzword? Anyone have heard of this? Okay, I think quite quiet from the floor. Okay, so what is software monetization? As you know, we short form we call it SM. Everything is going to be software related. Whether if you look at today, you know, I mean, like from healthcare to enterprise software to industrial automation 4.0 to IoTs, you know, to even militaries, you know, everyone is talking about software or somehow related. You know, you can't run away. I mean, I would say in the supply chain itself, and it is actually the intellectual property if you look into it. So everything that you created, you know, your knowledge to put into the codes, you know, AI, artificial intelligence, everything actually is a very important asset of a company. Okay, so to enhance, you know, and create risk stream that maximize the value of the software, that become also very important, because when you have your IP and how to make full use to maximize of the return of what you have created, isn't it that very important? So that's a key thing about the message of software monetization. It is a continuous process. It's not going to be 1 year, you know, I mean, like 6 months or even 2 years. It's going to be ongoing forever, just like your marketing strategy in your company. You got sales strategy, whatever is it, if we continue to how you actually can fine tune and enhance to fit your software to be sales into a different unique market segment for today. Yeah. So you have various business model. You know, we heard of perpetual, time, subscription, usage, you know, or maybe even more. So there's a lot of business model these days in the market, and protecting the intellectual property via encryption and obfuscation and also become the key thing. So just think about it. If you can make so much money about it, it's the you know, somehow a money machine. But if someone be able to hack it, you know, and take away all your jewels, done, it's gone. So that become a very challenging things, you know, for most of the software vendors today. How do you actually make more money, maximize from it, but at the same time, how do you protect it? So there's a key message from there, the concept. Okay, but what is the driving factors? You know, I mean, in fact, uh, all the software sales in the whole world is skyrocketing every year. Every year is skyrocketing. You got a lot of growth of new emerging technologies, like, you know, I mean, like we talk about all the words like VR, you know, AI, big data, megatronics, robotics, you know, everything. Perhaps all these things are software related. You can't have software running all these machines and devices without software. So software is so extensive. Yeah. So beside that, we also get data from BSA to talk about, you know, in fact, the whole world, there's a lot of people are actually using unauthorized software. Perhaps maybe sometime even unintentional use your software that you even don't know. The customer also don't know, even they can pay for it. So that become a very important and huge revenue leak that in cost, I mean, the whole, you know, the company of your company can be actually having a right and strong revenue, but it has been somehow leaked in some way. So all this actually driving, I mean, the software monetization concept, and this gives the rise of a software monetization tools. Okay. So again, I mean, perhaps a very a trending question again, but very hard. These are the buzzword, you know, just like when we talk about ERP, CRM, AI. So in software monetization, we have also have a word called the sentence called software licensing and monetization tool. You know, anyone of you heard before? So we call it SLM, software licensing and monetization tool. Okay. Well, so what is the tools is doing? You know, actually very simple. I would say if you look back into the three green boxes here, you know, software, you go into the process of this software monetization and the SLM tool, then you got a protected and ready license to use software for customers. Very simple. So a tool that achieve the need of software monetization, it can help you to do the protection. I will give a brief overview further, I mean, in the next few slides, okay? Provide various licensing package model that you do not need to do a lot of hard working from there. You don't have to. Then you can do provide integration to capability of automation. So I think I will also go through in a way to talk about how this thing actually can now you know, be part of your company of the process, so that it becoming automated, make things even faster, sell faster, fulfill faster, and deliver faster. Yeah, and one of the key things that why people like to use this, you know, I mean, this software monetization tools is also, you know, I mean, these days you got a lot of, when you are software vendors, basically when you write a software for a particular market segment. So this day, the platform of OS is a lot, you know, you got Windows, you got Linux, you know, you got Mac OS, and then sometimes you have to do the extension to Android, iOS, because mobile is part of the supply chain these days. You can't go away. Yeah. Then you know that, I mean, this Android, I mean, all these Windows are keep on upgrading their platform every year. But perhaps if you do not have this kind of tools to help you, you're going to spend a lot of time, and money to keep on focusing, sometimes to change the licensing model, to adapt, I mean, to the OS change or whatever driver. So that's a kind of a painful task, for a lot of software vendors. Because when you are strong in ERP, when you're strong in robotics, and sorry, when you're strong in certain of a prop tech, I mean, a software, you should be specialized and keep on developing what is supposed to be good in. So you're not supposed to spend all your, today we call it scarce resources just to even do the licensing and protection. So you can just leave it to the, I mean, to the commercial partners like us, So basically, the very normal thing is from homegrown, because all these software company like us before, that when you started to write a software, you got to also write some kind of licensing yourself. It's called homegrown. Okay. However, today it's becoming like something that when your software growth, your business growth, you will till a point that you think about whether should I still continue to do a home licensing, or should I just give a fee to actually get a commercial version to help me to protect and also to license in many ways. Yeah. So that's give the rise of software licensing and monetization tool. We call it the SLM. All right. I mean, another question that we always will ask our customers, I mean, in a way that is to ask them, so whether you have a software, revenue strategy from your software licensing. Now, when you're selling something, have you put this thing like, in your yearly planning, management planning to talk about, okay, what are we going to do to actually sell more? I mean, to increase more, to what segment you're going to sell more? So have you been really put this into your be part of your business strategy? Yeah. All right. If you know, okay, then something that you may want to take a look into to further explore, because now this has been very in thing, I would say a trending thing in North America and Europe. I would say even very strong in China, Japan, Korea, I mean, Australia. So this is actually a very, very important thing, because like we just mentioned in the first slides, 75% of the people to use the SLM software is to make more money. So you may not aware that actually they put how much effort of to think and to really penetrate and to even gain, the revenue from different market segment. So it's actually a lot of effort have been putting behind. So this kind of the very important things to really make your business strategy, towards enhancing the revenue of your company. No leak revenue, I mean, something that you talk about, I mean, that can be also supplies, because we spoken to a few customers before, can be in hospitalization, in even ERP, I mean, vendors, they actually tend to sell the solution to the customer in a project basis. When they sell to the customer in a project basis, sometimes, to be honest, they want to pay you more. You sell for them to 100 users, but when they use it for 150 to 200, because the unintentional use for that kind of situation. So because if you do not track and license and lock down the fingerprint properly, so you will tend to have this problem. And even the customer want to pay you, but you do not have a way to audit it. So that's one of the key things that also very much happening of today software vendors market as well. Yeah, and of course the third most important is the operational efficiency. So we talk about automation in many environments. We talk about how you sell in a company, selling from CRM, front office, e-commerce portal, but going into the bidder, how you fulfill the product, going to some of the data, going to the account, going to the delivery logistics, on that. But perhaps this is actually also SM, we call it the software monetization process. It's also part of the thing that you may want to think about. If you are a software vendor, why can't I also do something to be much more automated? So in a way that I can really make things faster, cheaper in my process for delivery, and at the same time we can even sell more. So that's a key thing of today for to using the concept of software monetization for business strategy. Yeah. Okay, the journey to creating a value is very simple. You talk about software vendors, direct channel, customers, or success. It's a key, very simple. The supply chain. Always you got the direct sales team, you got the channel sales team to the customer. Done. Okay, but today when you want to create more value, you're talking about revenue streams increase. So you're talking about how do you actually really make things much more flexible. flexible in a way to be, having a different pricing model, different trial models. So this become a very, I would say, critical tactics that you need to use it to really capture more revenue. So you let people to try and buy, you track the expiration, renewal notification is also one of the key things of today. Yeah. Until to talk about even, you have, how do you actually create a relationship between you and the customers? Yeah. So let me just check. So from operational efficiency, automated delivery, to that you talk about when you sell a particular software, how do you ensure that the software and the license will be delivered to the customer in, at a very simple and efficient way? Okay, and how do you actually able to do the remote activation, online updates, and back office integration, and especially the activation of the license that we see during the COVID-19 pandemic. We see many customers are rushing into it due to the previously they are so easy that they to talk about. They can just go to the office, using some VPN or internet to just go to the portal. But what if now all these customers are working from home? They don't have the intranet in the home. So how do they do it? So basically, you're talking about even giving another options to give them a way they can easily do all this, like, remote activation of the license to buy your software and to start using it even at a different location from the office. So that can be one of the very key things of today market segment as well. Yeah. Customer satisfaction, self-service. Perhaps this is one thing that's very funny, that we also get some experience and some feedback from the customer and say, hey, do you know whether is it because of the WhatsApps, or maybe the messengers problems? This day, even the customer does not like to speak to us, face to face. So they say, hey, I don't want to speak to you. Can I just have somewhere to download and update the page myself? And can I just do the renewal myself? That become also a trend. There's many customers think that I want things to be fast, easy. So sometimes I don't need to be really go through people by people. When you get all this ready, we can just go out and do it. So the self-service portal also become very important. Okay. Auto update when you have a lot of patches, security patches, or maybe updates due to the ongoing this kind of like cyber, I would say the challenge of the securities. That's also very important. Besides the new features that you're talking about, instant delivery, how to really deliver it, in-apps notification, these are some of the key, I would say, the substructure that how to really creating a value for your customers. And lastly, I would say this is something that very new. In North America and Europe, whereas in the part of the world of in here may not be viewing is very important. Is every time when you sell a software, have you been able monitoring, what is the customer usage of your software? Now, you may have a core software, but you have maybe 10 features, 10 module, or maybe even other very sub modules on it. But have you been able to trace it so that you can know that, in a way, if your software is working very well, some people like to use that particular module very well, will you be able to actually maximize and charge more on that? Then how do you really work on to that module? But what if some of the module people are not using it? So do you want to put a stop loss on that features, or you want to enhance it? So these are the key things to talk about. How do you actually even generate that kind of feedback will come to you at ACE? So very simple. You can get it at the reportings to get some at least some data. So understand yourself is even much. Sometimes it's also important when compared to understanding your competition. Then straight away you understand, oh, why among this 100 customers, someone just don't like to use this module. So this is the key thing because business insight is getting very much, I would say, a key discussion area, but how to collect data from the customer today, automatically, network, or even manually. So these are the key things that's happening. Okay, so we got another question is that, just to warm up again. So how many of you are software vendor now to actually really will change your software pricing model in the next 12 months? I need to open up the chat box, see any, if any. Hang on.
No one has responded. I'm monitoring the chat box for you.
Sure. Thanks.
Oh yeah, there's one.
Michelle, yes.
Michelle is going to change her software pricing model.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Wong asks, including SaaS model?
Yeah, all the models, all the models. No, I think this is more into pricing model. Is talk about, when you sell as a project basis to your customer. So you may want to include a new functions like subscription, or you want to include a new function like feature based, or you want to include a function to be charging additional concurrent users, or I mean even how to be even a rental basis. These are the key pricing model in the market. Yeah,
So we have Frank also responded yes. So he's
yeah,
also going to change his software pricing model in the
yes,
next 12 months.
yeah.
Okay, so far we have
Good
three
feedback.
people. Yeah, three people responded. Thank you.
Good feedback. Thank you. So, okay, the customer expectation is changing for sure. From Gartner having I think Gartner having a study in the market. Even IDC to talk about. In fact, they are at the time they're speculating by 2020, probably 80% of the software in the market, may change. I mean, the vendor, the conventional licensing model into subscription. This is something that the data that people is keep on looking into it, how we can get all this data. So subscription is becoming a key trend in the market. So some to talk about even by 2021, you're talking about almost 90%, I mean, the whole world software market will actually moving into that direction. But if you look at global, it's almost all is into this subscription area, but perhaps localized or regional software vendors are yet to catch up from there. Yeah, from the customer these days are talking about, from paying you per purchase, paying you feature. Well, why not I can, pay you in a subscription way? Good and bad. Sometimes you may think that some people say, hey, subscription can be lower the price in compared to selling a project, but you can be also have a good recurring revenue. In some of the key customer feedback is that they even told us that why I like to go into subscription, because many times when we sell many projects to the customers, so they may not able to keep on track with the relationship with them, speaking to them, get them get back to you or whatever. So, but when you go into subscription and that thing become renewing every year, so you tend to get people who speak to you and you know what is going on. Is there a plan? The competition is getting over, or are they going to use more growth in the company? So this become variable feedbacks, when you are in the subscription model. And customer is also talking about today, why can't I do a usage base? If I'm not going to use it all the time, can I just usage, just only pay for what I use? Well, that's a very, very key development. Even we got some customer from Singapore. They actually have a software that for the customer who are doing events. And I mean, events, sometimes they have events in 3 months, 6 months, or sometimes they wait for another 1 or 2 years for planning, but without using it again. So that market, when you talk about selling people perpetual, they may think that, it's overkill. And then every 2 to 3 years, and most of the finance will actually try to depreciate the software and become zero in the company, the asset for the asset. So in the balance sheet, that's become a key new trends to talk about. If I'm going to use it for 20 times, 50 times, or 3 months and 5 months, can you also have that kind of model? And imagine if the customer suppose not going to buy from you, but because if you have the new licensing model, you actually created a new market segment that people will, okay, why not? I can consider when I got this particular event, I just buy and rent for you. You can just say rental basis, or I can just do it in 5,000 times, 3,000 times, or even 1 million times. Anyway, I mean, the customers are changing even their expectation towards the software vendor as well. Yeah. So, I mean, conventionally, you see, this is the licensing model. You got package licensing model. I mean, the old days, I think we all know that the Microsoft will go into a CD room together, send to you the office, And then today we talk about perpetual, which is still, I would say, have a quite significant market in this perpetual. I mean, people are still using the perpetual way. The features, I mean, when you got a coin module, very easy to understand. It's like SAP, you got a coin module, then you got a payroll, you got a warehouse, you got a perhaps even a BI model. So all these things become like even the features, how do you actually can sell separately from the customer? And some customers, sometimes they may want A plus B plus C, and sometimes they may want A, B only. And sometimes they want to extend to A plus B plus C plus D. So with these all things that can make it very flexible, that become a very key important things for for you to be able to open up the new market segment. Okay, processor, I guess I would say not many vendors will do it, except if those are professional softwares. And that is due to because of the vendor processor core, quad core is getting much more powerful these days. So I mean the customer will tend to even buy a machine and then they don't have to buy so many servers from you like last time, and that become a revenue possibly reduction of your business. So that's why many people will creatively come and say, I mean, if you got double processor, I'm going to charge double and charge, triple. So that all depends the business strategy, how you're going to position your software into different market segment. Okay, so you have network, you have concurrent, you have subscription based. Like I said, the most trending today. Then you have utility, pay per use. Buy 5,000 times like a prepaid, use it, finish. I then have to call you again, and then I have to call you and put down the credit card. If cheaper, you can just get a credit card and renew it. If it's very expensive model, then you can just have to do like a online or purchase order again. But that is quite also getting very hit in the marketplace today. And of course, the last one is KPI. This is something that I think going very, very much into the consulting area. We have quite a number of like industrial automation customer to even talk about, hey, Joe, I am the operator of this wind farm. I'm the operator for this, energy farm. So however, so I must deliver certain kind of KPI in order for me to build. And how do they actually really will have that kind of measurement? So part of it, it can be also looking into, how many reports that you can generate and what do you achieve what you're supposed to agree. That also become one of the key, I would say, the customer expectation these days. And I foresee things will keep growing, more and more growing, and you can see all this model become very, very important for any software vendors. And that's why I think the give the rise of the software monetization concept in the marketplace. Yeah. So we also study, to talk about, why is there the adoption? What is the key adoption for all these customers when we have about the last few years to speak and get the feedback from the customers? So agility to package the pricing is very important. So time to the market, for example, let's say you want to change the pricing model for the next 12 months. If you are not using this kind of software, I mean the commercial software, you're doing hard coding, in your homegrown solution with your homegrown solution. You actually will have to wait for the IT team, to keep on doing it. And then the scare resources these days, just imagine, they have to keep on changing the hard code or whatever things from there. So that actually will hurt your time to the market. So many of our customers like these solutions because they say, hey, no, Joe, because why? I can just click like that, maybe just like a telco sometimes say, hey, Christmas is coming. So I got, we can offer something like, 50 gig of data at what price, Okay, and then how will you do it? Are you going to do a lot of programming? Time to the market in 1 week, can you do that? With FLM tool, you can do that because you don't spend a lot of time. Because once you define the catalog, you get any time to keep on changing of your price, depending, what you want the tool to target, just in a very fraction of minutes, second or hours. So there's no issue on that. Yeah. So operational efficiency is also one of the key things we talk about. I mean, all these customers talk about anything that come to me, how can I actually make my process much more automated? And eventually with the IP protection, you have to protect. We keep talking about protection. How is actually being protected? Okay. So processes, I think this is the key thing we also keep on advising and consulting to our customers because we foresee, we actually seeing this process in the region is still very much basic. So every time when people talk about, taking the order from the sales and then the sales give you an order in a paper or email or maybe from the account, then the particular, IT guys will give you the software and perhaps we have a homegrown license. So very, very basic, very, very manual. But if you look back in today, the process of, software monetization, if you have one. So if you do not have one, you may want to think about it. How actually I can really incorporate this software monetization process in the supply chain of mine, from e-commerce, CRM, ERP, to send to the license entitlement department, which is quite a number of companies from these days, the mid to large companies doing that. How do you do into license renewal, the SaaS? How do you actually connecting to the SaaS? I think how do you actually getting the software to be able easy to download and trial automatically? And then if there's anything based on performance and KPI building, how do you pass back these things data into the back office to do the auto building? And then how do you actually get the information from your customer? How they like your system. You can call it a BI, business intelligence of your own module. Yeah. And how do you actually from there start to reviews and revise your pricing and packaging? So this is something that's very, very important these days. Very important these days. You have a process and how do you put it as a state of automation? If you do not have one, then you might want to consider to sit down again. Hey, this is something that is growing. You like it or not, software monetization will be part of your business strategy in the coming, future. So you got to get more prepared from there. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, do you protect the software codes now when you are selling into the market? A short question. Just a break. Let me look at the time. Do you protect? I mean, like for example, if you write into the .exe, whether into maybe C++, Python, Java, actually, do you protect it actually?
Frank says yes.
Oh, good.
Frank's protect his software codes.
Good. That's a very, very good
Wow.
initiative.
How about the rest of you guys? Do you guys protect your software? Angela says partially. Oh,
Okay.
Angela, that means partially I can come and steal your software codes.
Oh, yeah. 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 Okay. I think that's a very important the thing to talk about it is because we have been in the market for almost 6 years. In fact, what we represent, Thales is in the market for almost 30 years, in this software protection. So imagine, I mean, whatever you are doing today, you do whatever active protection or whatever things. End of the day, you have to give yourself an expectation is that people will definitely able to break you. They can have a lot of tools, you will just be amazed, many even open source tools in the market can easily get and reverse engineer your coding. So straight away, they can look into your codes, how does it work? Well, I mean, first thing, you may be able to easily being duplicate, from your software, Microsoft become Microsoft to sell in elsewhere. It can be also talking about people will know your security from the competition. I mean, hey, what is the so important IP by these vendors? What are they? How they do it? And what's the intelligence from there? What is the algorithm from there? They can see it. If you do not protect it, and worse is that imagine that you are a growing software company, but eventually your software is not protected and able to be able let other people to inject some malicious code into the software, and what will happen as well. So these are the key things that I would say that you will have to expect people will be able to really look into your software code after the reverse engineering process. So that's why we talk about static protection these days, how to actually obfuscate or we do a code dressing by really wrapping up the entire of your software code so that even people can get your code, break it out, reverse engineer, they can't see anything. From the algorithm of maybe, I mean, like a 1 + 2 + 3, you already changed it to become 1 + 3 + 4. But during the execution, it's still 1 + 2 + 3. But when they see the code, then when they break it, it's only 1 + 3 + 4. Well, we have quite a number of these even from mobile, banking, from even software coding vendors, to do all this obfuscation is something that is a peace of mind for them. Definitely a peace of mind from there. It's not just only the algorithm to the variable, to the asset level, to whatever things that you want to protect, how you're going to protect it. That's how the important, philosophy of first software monetization, protect your software, and then make more money from it. The key two things I would say. So if you look at this, the process, it's 3-step things. It's very simple. Every time you write a code, go into the software, you have to protect, okay? And then you start to entitle it. And this entitlement is one-time process. If you think about the coin and how you're going to plan your software in the future, so it's like creating the feature ID, creating the product ID. From then, it's like putting how you charge a licensing model for it is pretty easy. Everything is just only in a second or minutes, the drag and rule setting, configure, then you start to can entitle the license. Very simple. And even to renew the license. And eventually how to actually track the usage and even revisit the strategy of your pricing and on your software to keep on moving round and round and round again. And that become the software monetization concept, for all the software vendors today. Yeah. And this is a very, I would say, key thing. Also, kind of the adoption that we study. We ask all of them, why do you keep on like to use the software tools today? If you're going to pay for it, why? So some are paying more, some are paying starter kit, to use it. I mean, for some basic reason. So it's very simple. That we just say, hey, Joe, first thing, if you can sell something to us, I mean, from the vendor's point of view, if you can make my life easier, because my life is very, 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 very it's tough. Every time an order come, I have to fix it. I need to issue the license. If you do it with only 10 users, that's okay. So because some of the customers from Australia to selling powerful transformer, the software solution. They only have 10 customers worldwide, and the whole company revenue is only 10 customers. So that's okay. But they still like to use it as automated tools and subscription from us, okay, because they want to have a tools to track it. But imagine you're dealing with some people like, like point of sale software. And I got the feedback before also to talk about, hey, Joe, my biggest problem is that I have a lot of customers, on Sunday or Saturday. Sometimes we do not have people to work during the weekend. And believe it or not, every time something hit, it's always on Saturday and Sunday. So the customer calling in, and to talk about the machine is down, how do I relocate the license again to make another server to use it? So you have to be quick. And how do you do it? So that is something I would say in the process of even rebuilding the license, after you entitled, when the problem come, all these are part of the vendor's life. And these tools, when they come in to making your life easier, is something that they would like to really consider to adopt. It's the key fact on that. But you'll be even surprised, most of the software vendors these days, they actually take very, very important view about the end user point of view. So what does it mean by that? They talk about, hey, if you've got end users, how do they activate the license? How do they actually able to, easily renew without even calling us? They can just do some download, trial download, and renew and pay by credit card or pay by bank transfer. That also become one of the very key things we found the largest, impact of all software vendor that would like to include this into the software monetization process. And that become even the customer are very proud and say that, they all use my software is because we are so easy for them to use. So that become the two life. You're making your customer life better. You're making yourself life better. So that's a key thing that why people adopt, the SLM tool. Yeah. So getting return of investment, very important. I can share the link later. It's actually, you can just play around, with us from basic return of investment calculation to talk about how when you invest, that really make the tangible things that you can see what kind of saving that you can have. But at the same time, how can you actually make more money from there? Okay, so we have kind of like a chart like this, to talk about, let's say if you use it, the SIM tool from the first year until the 5th year. So what kind of like the revenue and the licensing model you can grow from the point of you're using the tools yourself. So you have a lot of feedback from the customer with all these things to talk about. Oh yeah, you can see significant increase of the revenue when you can have this kind of like flexible and agile tool to help you. Yeah, year 1 to year 2, year 5. Who don't want this kind of chart? I think in any company, everyone want to have this kind of chart. Yeah, and then you can look at the cost to talk about, the license generation cost, from current year, licensing support, engineering, back office IT, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, you also see a significant reduction of all the costs that involved in this particular process with the SLM tool. So that's why it become very key things to talk about. If I want to invest now, so for this software monetization tools, what do I get? So basically, it's a very, very down to earth thing. You get more money, you save more cost. So that not talk about even the competitiveness, that you're going to get. Yeah. So we actually represent one of the companies called Thales Sentinel. They actually is the leader, 52% market share in the world. Okay, Thales Sentinel. So they used to call Gemato, Rainbow, but now today they all merge into a very strong company. They're also doing some military cyber security software in a way. Yeah. So but we come from this line of business is called software monetization. And again, we all talk about from product, transaction, ownership. These days, you're talking about relationship, how you can create values for the customers, so that you can really become having a strong recurring revenue. So before we start, we talk about even we have some customer and say, hey, Joe, do you know why? We see even today in many countries, to value a company, software vendor, it's not by profit and loss anymore, because it can be even having a high growth, some losses. But if you got a very strong recurring revenue growth, let's say 10 million of the recurring revenue, you can value the company at 100 million. So this is what actually happening in some of the live case that we see. So that's why recurring revenue become very, very important for many company, as even the financial balance sheet from there. Very, very important. Yeah. So that may be a very simplified architecture that you can take a look. Very nice, to talk about back office. You can see from this software, you can use it. This kind of SM tool to use it, starting from just only a desktop standalone system by itself, And eventually you can integrate to your ERP, CRM, software download, billing solution, to talk about your customer and channel, especially when you're selling a software via channel, how do you even manage the channel as well, And then if you got some homegrown, I would say if you got a very big base of homegrown solution and has been in the market for 30, 40 years, you got a lot of customer outside, you may not can replace them immediately. But how do you manage even the homegrown license has been delivered? Okay. And eventually you can look back into all the platform down there. This day you talk about software application, on-prem server, intelligent device, restricted footprint, mobile, cloud, These all are key things, the platform that keep on going. How much time and effort you will need to deal with all these things in order for your business to grow if you do not have a clean strategy or clear strategy in software monetization. If you have it, you can just look at it, everything in, just perfect ease. You can just keep on moving to grow and focus in your business by really passing this thing into a commercial software tools. Yeah. So just some basic, I'll just go through, what is the things that they have in the market. You have dongle, some dongle, some people say dongle, is it really something, the old technology? Not really. So if you got some dongle, because dongle today can be also enhanced to be very powerful, to talk about if your solution is allow the customer to be able to move from machine to machine, a dongle USB drive is still very much valid. From now the USB, and then they talk about even Type C coming future in the 1 to 2 years time. Yeah. And then you can see some of the very, very special, this kind of like microchip component. So just also imagine if a motherboard company have a strong solution, if you're going to put in one plug of this, could change the output of the CPU, output of the speed, so you do not have to have a lot of huge cost to keep on redesign the motherboard. So that becoming a very important, just like, Volkswagen, you can see many of the cars, the front part is all look alike. Why? Standardizing certain thing, and then become the cost of production is much cheaper. But by the time, you can still have something to change it by having a different market segment offering. So when you just change other part of the car, that's the same concept as well. Yeah. Okay, you got something that very enhanced security that is possibly for the military, because when you talk about securities, when your software is running, so even though I may not be able to crack your application, but in terms of sometime they may have injected certain Trojan into the memory. So the Trojan in the memory can even see what you're doing. So is it something that I want to see, as in particular when you generate a pin, second pin or whatever pin, highly secret pin, how is your algorithm doing that? That's important. Then these days, you're talking about you can even move something algorithm into the chip itself, so that when doing a calculation and pass back a value to the system, the software in the memory process, without even let them know how to do it. And that become very, very strong system that you can use it. Very strong system you can use it. So in particular, I would say approval in certain very high transaction purchases in the stock market, or maybe even a military, grade of simulation. So these are the key market, that even the dongle can be used these days. Yeah. Or you even got this like software drive, you will be amazed. You can even put in an SD card that is even applied to simulation, CAD/CAM company, or maybe even if you're a prop tech company, how do you actually put in some of the diagrams, that you want to sell the ideas to your customer or maybe to your channel partners? Let's say if you're dealing with a lot of property developers, but you got this kind of like new design you want to send to them. However, SD card today, if you do not protect the content, people can buy one and split to many people to use it. Okay, so if you use this software, you can even protect, you can even tie the content to only with the keys and the certain password that you can only use it. So that also become a key things today to move the software, authenticate who's the user, at the same time, what kind of content can be refreshed all the time. Okay, so it's very important. And you got a software key. So that's the key thing today, software key. Why software key? Without hardware, same function, yes, perhaps even can be a different usage, I would say, wouldn't be better. But the key software keys advantage is that you can really lock down the fingerprint of the particular user of your software on the memory, on the CPU, on the hard disk, on the MAC address, anything that you want to lock if available to lock. Many things that you can configure. Okay, so very important. So why software keys is also have a good point is that it's less logistic issue. You can just pass it, deliver to the customer, and get the keys to be able to lock to the fingerprint and start to protect your software and license them to use. Okay, that's the key thing about software keys these days. Yeah. So very simple. You got all this like if you can see the animation, I'm not so sure this one I'm not tested in the Zoom. See whether you can see that basically to talk about Very simple. The activation process can be really activated when you send a particular software to your customer. Customer can really log in and to activate it. Just imagine whatever you can use from like Microsoft 365, and it can be also on your software. And it's not a dream. Anytime you can do that with ACE. So that is also a key message that why SM and SLM tools can be very useful to the software vendors. Yeah. So I mean, we got some question before to say that, I mean, Joe, what if I got some customers, to in Indonesia, one of the clients said that I got about 5,000 installation in the entire Indonesia. So you just imagine, you got the Indonesia is so vast, I mean, for the location, Bandung, Surabaya, I mean, into even Java, every different locations. So when you deliver the software and sell to them, when they do not renew, sometimes it's very hard to recover. They talk about whether when you send people to go and recover the software, they can just close the door and don't open it. You can't do anything. But imagine, but also the same thing, how do you actually able to make sure these people are offline, but one day if they want to renew, how you actually able to renew it without internet? So in this concept of offline activation, key can be also sent, I mean, just like an exchange by email, from you yourself to the customer, and customer send back a file to you, like a snapshot, and you send them back, a file in exchange. Then just put into the folder and it works. Very simple. So it can be offline, it can be even online, it can be even undocking to a project site in the utilities, oil and gas industry. It can be also into a mining location. So these things all make it possible today by having this kind of like exchanging of file. We call it the customer to vendor and vendor to customer exchange of file. So with that, you do not worry that even if the customer do not buy and they stop using it, you don't have to recover it, because just let it go, because whatever they break it, also no use. But if they want to renew, even they are in offline market, it is so easy, just only by email, you can do it. So it's pretty much, I would say, quite a lot of area has been covered, I mean, nicely on that. So we talk about the HL, I mean, the key, the hardware key, the dongle. We talk about the software key. So that's now coming into this cloud license key as well. Okay, this cloud is not talk about the full cloud, the SaaS, because when you put the SaaS, so you need to do the authentication and then just the software. So basically, you're talking about cloud is something that how can I even have an on-prem solution that able to allow my customer to use it? Okay, but sometimes they can be changing into different machine without the hardware key, still the software key to control by name user. But at the same time, I can maybe even undock the license to elsewhere offline and come back. If 5 days, 3 days don't come back, you will just, make the license invalid. So you can do all such of a flexibility that you want. So cloud is now even to talk about, you can host your license manager in the cloud. And in a way, you can control all usage activity, unlock and lock down. I mean, even unchecked from the docking machine and check in, everything can be controlled in ACE. So you see, from hardware dongles, from software license, from to cloud license these days, you have so many methods. But again, the important, I would say, the key message, I would say is you become flexible for them, very flexible. So then you can just create host a license manager in a DMZ zone. Then they can just start to really monitoring. And sometimes you want to push a license to them, also able. You can retrieve a license, come back also better, is easier. So this all become possible with this cloud license manager. Okay, so you have lots of license model. We talk about perpetual subscription, time-based. We talk about pay-per-use, pay-per features, trials today. So very, very important. How do you manage trials? Okay. And then you have integrated back office from entitlement automation, instant provisioning, email notification, software download, multi-license generator, simple license activation. So these all are also able to work, from very scalable, a single standalone module, until you can have a full-fledged of state of automations, and also integration to all your in the process supply chain in your company. Yeah, data collection and usage, reports based on customer base, specific customer, product line, username, all these things. And perhaps we even talk about how do we actually manage all the customer. Many software vendors today, if we ask to also, they actually keep all this data either in the backend accounting system or maybe ERP system. But somehow they also should have another database, I would say, to really manage, to what kind of like subscription they actually subscribe to you, what features they buy from you, what functionality they use most. If you have all this intelligent data, that become very important even for yourself, for the customers, to actually enhance the way of you doing business in the future. Okay, but of course the next will be the customer experience. If you can really having a better customer experience, trust me, you will actually win more better. So I think we discussed with some of the learning software before. I mean, in the market, so some vendors and the CEO told me that, Joe, I'm very proud of my software. Why? Because we want to ensure that from the customer, every time you use my system, 3 clicks will hit a target what he or she want to do. Okay. So why? Because we don't want to make it a design so complicated, but only 3 clicks, I can go to any way that I want to achieve what I want to do in the software. And that become also their missions, every year, every days, every month, how they can keep on looking into new ways to make the system much more easy to use. So that's become very important. They talk about the customer experience. When you can really go into selling global, just believe me, today, you have software vendors, you have a software, your market is not limited to Malaysia. Your market not limited to ASEAN. Whenever you got a software, we have so many SME customers from Australia, New Zealand, even from Indonesia, Singapore. They're selling to the world, to the worldwide, because there's no boundary, because your software. And with that, good customer experience will definitely help you to even move on to become much more competitive in your marketplace as well. Yeah. So I mean, from this vendor alone, Thales, which we are representing, you have the core, we call it the software Sentinel EMS. So it's a very strong, powerful system to manage all, the process in a way. Yeah. Then you got Sentinel Up, which is also something that upcoming, to talk about giving an update for your customer. How do you actually give an update to your customer, just like window updates? So easy that the next time when you know that which customer has paid for subscription, customer care, and which one eligible for the update and a download, how do you manage that, and how do you push the update for them? So that's also a very key important for the state of automation. Yeah. And eventually you're talking about, you have so many different kind of like new requirements that we have every day. And, to talk about how many mobile users can be concurrently used when they buy one user license together. You can track them on using on mobile. You can track them on they're using on a tablet, and everything become one single interface of monitoring that particular licensing, of the users. Yeah. And you have Sentinel Feed. That is actually I would say that I try to talk about, but this is more into IoT, the SDK. So there's when you have IoT devices, that IoT devices normally will be very small, and you have a very how we say, the lightweight system, OS system inside. Sometimes the footprint is very, very small. So when you want to develop any licensing software into this kind of machine, you will tend to get something that very, very lightweight and light energy consumption when they want to use the licensing control. And that also have become one of the key things that this licensing software able to tackle into different area, different industrial. So in short, hybrid platform is very important. So that's what we've talked about today. So some people call it hybridization. So no matter now you're moving into subscription, you may still retain your perpetual, and you may still have a usage based, KPI based. So these all are becoming hybrid platform. So how do you have something that really tackling the hybrid platforms of today? That is also a key winning and key trend of today's software vendors market. So if you have something that ready for the hybrid market, you'll be able to really can tap into the market advantage much easier than others. Yeah. Okay, so I think now I think that's all for the presentation today. Hope I'm not going too fast. If you got any question, you can ask me. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, there's a
Yes,
question from the floor,
Oh yeah.
from Angela.
Yes.
The question is,
Mm.
I have recurring problem when issue license.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of operation, who should we assign in a company the right to issue license? One. Number two, is it the finance or the sales? Currently, only the boss allowed to issue license, but this is not proper for long term.
Oh yeah, I think Angela, you got a good question on that. In fact, that is also a very key things that even from our side, when we speak to the customers and we even go to the market segment to look for who is the supposed the person to be responsible for issuing the license. When we see there's many companies are having product manager as the one who responsible for it. Okay, so if you ask me, maybe like in your case, that you have finance, you have yourself, and maybe you have the salesperson. Normally, it is a product person who entitled the license. Okay, not the sales and not the finance. But if you do not have that much of the people in this particular process, then if you cannot assign one, of course, I would say most appropriate will be the sales so to do it. But the only thing is that whether but the thing is that if you have something to track and understand whether they issue more or less, then you can be, with the tools, you can monitor and audit all the time. There's no issue on that. Yeah. And then to many company with the mid-size and the larger size, they will tend to even have a license manager in their organization. So the license manager will actually somehow focus into dealing with all the licenses, okay? And then they will get all the requirement from the customers, and then how to actually issue and renew, and even to study why the license has not been renewed and discontinued. So these are the key different segments for it. But if you ask me whether who will be the problem that you have to dedicate one person in the process, is much more appropriate. So be it sales, be it, the boss itself, but to issue a license in our product is that you will have a master key. The master key will allow the particular person to issue the license. Okay. So once you plug in and then authenticate with the password, then the person will have the of course audit trail, what license has been issued and how do you manage the license eventually. Yeah. So
Angela, oh, sorry. Okay, Angela, there's another question coming from Angela.
Yep.
How can we avoid internal breach? For example,
Mm-hmm.
the programmer who does the programming know the secret of license control.
Good question again. This one, good question. I think that's the detailed design of what this kind of like software licensing and monetization tools in the market. For what tell us this is that you have a developer key and you have a master key. Okay, so when you talk about doing the process of wrapping the software, so when the wrap it is encryption, so the developer key will be allow the programmers to actually protect the codes, but they cannot issue the license. Okay, whenever they see, let's say for example, you want to do a feature, the three feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 with different license module. So you have a standard API to be copy and paste into your code like an object. Then from there, even they can see whatever things they can't manipulate at all, because by the time it will talk back to interact with the master key, will be the person on the master key able to only issue the license. So that's why there's no way that it's a clear distinct, a differentiation in between who's supposed to have the right to protect the codes, who's supposed to have the right to issue the license. So the programmer can't do anything about it in this case. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Joe. Again, Angela, have the third question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it advisable to have more than one person handling this license? Putting this heavy responsibility on one person can be very dangerous.
In a way, if you ask me, if a lot of my customer base mostly will have the main person to issue the license, but of course, because it is so easy to use, basically they will train a second person to be on standby. Okay, so on standby. Anything goes wrong with the first person, it will always have the second person to take on. So the important is that you must have the key to store the key with yourself. The key will be the important for you to actually issue the license. So it's just like authorization on that. Yeah.
Is there any more questions from the floor? Don't be shy. Joe is here to answer your questions.
Oh yeah, anytime if we can share, because I think the good thing is that we are a Malaysian-based company. However, we have sales rep office into different region, and we actually sell almost 95% of these tools actually to Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, some in Indonesia, and I think there's a big gap in Malaysia and in Thailand and market that we can go. So the IP should be catching up, and I will foresee a lot of IP will be developed and catching up, then to really move our IP business, towards the whole world as well. Yeah.
All right. Since there's no other further questions,
On
so
time.
Joe, on time.
Yeah, you're on time.
Oh, Angela said, oh, now you monetize your software.
No,
So,
yeah, let me just I mean, okay, today we are trying to offer a bit a small gift, I mean, for the sponsor to thank MPA for I mean, inviting us to share the concept. So I would say if you participating in this question that you can tell us now. So we will if you're right, then we will provide you this starter kit that includes some of the keys that you can use it in production. And the most important, it's like a unique key that you can hold it, and you can test the entire full experience. And maybe it's also help you with no fees at all to really explore it on this Thales solution. Okay, so so I will start the question, and then I think you can see this one or two here. The first question will be, the most trending software pricing model is, okay, you just type the answer for Vivian to see. How your intellectual property can be stolen if without protection measure. Okay, so what is it called? I mean, the kind of like the hacking that on your software. We hope you can participate, so that let us also guide you through what is the experience of software monetization that can help your business with this small little gift. Yeah. Very simple. Two questions. I give maybe we should give 5 minutes on that.
yes, sure.
Yep.
So we have 3 people who have responded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have Jason who said first question is B, and Rachel said B, Angela said B and C. Wong
Yeah.
said first one is B, second one is C, and Rachel said first one is B, Jason B, C, and Patrick says E. No, I think that's email. Patrick
Okay.
says the second one is C, cyber hacking.
Okay. So when you're ready, I will just to make the answer appeal. Then you will decide who will be the winner with Dr.
Sure.
Daniel together. Yeah. You let me know just
Sure.
once ready.
Any more questions? Anyone wants to answer? Frank, how about you? Okay, looks like Michelle says first one is B and second one is C. I will count 5 to 1. If no one else, then the answer shall close now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Joe, what is the answer?
Okay. The answer is sorry. The answer is B and B actually. So
we don't have winner.
We don't have a winner. So what are we going to do?
So I think all get the right answer on the first one is suspicion, and the second one is actually we call it static hacking, when they do the reverse engineer of your software. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we are going to do? So Jason now says 1B and 2B.
Yeah, but
So-
then he laughed.
So how
A
about
bit late,
this?
Jason.
The first 2 person who's going to respond me in the chat room will then have to do a pitching to Dr. Daniel, Wong Kar-wai, and myself to win this starter kit. I shall start. I will say now. I will count 1 to 5. Jason, me is too early now. I'll count 1 to 5. By the 5th count, who says me the first 2 shall do the pitching. 1.
What Vivienne says is this. At the count of 5, the first 2 clicking in me in the chat will be pitching to Joe, Vivienne, and myself to choose the one between the 2 that will get this great gift. Hope this is clear, Frank. So, Vivienne?
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Angela and
All
Rachel.
right. So,
Angela and Rachel.
all right. So shall we give Angela and Rachel 3 minutes each to tell us why should they win the starter kit and how is it going to help in their business? Angela, your turn to talk now.
Okay, a quick one, because we issue license every week and we really need the tool. That's all. So I am, quite heavy burden actually. Now the license issuing is on the boss itself. So we want to explore alternative options to make whole thing efficient so that the company can go for next level. So delegate the task in the safer way, I would say. I think this is a solution for us. We want to explore. Yeah.
All right. Dr. Daniel and Wong, do you have any questions for Angela?
Hello.
All right. Rachel, your turn to give us a 3-minute quick
Hello.
Who is
speech.
saying hello?
Who is saying hello?
Hello, hello. Who is saying hello?
Hello.
Very funny.
Okay. Rachel, the floor is yours.
Rachel, you need to unmute yourself. Oh no, you are unmuted.
Rachel, we can't hear you.
She dropped out. Wait, give her 1 minute to come back. Wow, so much fun.
This is a very exciting tech talk, I would say. So much to learn from Joe.
No, we're just
Yep.
sharing what we can have together. Don't worry about it.
Apparently, Rachel is not coming back.
Okay. So shall we get is Rachel back already?
Yeah.
Rachel is back.
She come back.
Woohoo.
Rachel,
So Rachel,
can you unmute yourself and pitch for the gift? You are muted, Rachel. You are muted. Rachel?
Rachel Chua, can you please give us a short pitch why you should win this tool and how is this going to help your business?
Rachel, at the count of 5, we will need to declare Angela winner of this simple competition. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5.
She has dropped off, Dr. Daniel.
1 1/4. I'm looking if she eventually come back. Angela, the gift is yours.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Joe. Thank you so much.
No
I
problem.
can learn from you. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations
you can just
to
give
the
the
e-boss.
contact. You can just give the
Jason,
impact.
I win.
But I would say, I propose something to all the members interested. I'm pretty sure that Joe is willing to give a special deal to MPA members.
Yeah, sure.
So please get in touch with Vivienne. She will connect you to Joe, the one interested in knowing more and in adopting this starter kit as a sentinel of your software IP. I love the idea because the dark side of the internet is highly disturbing sometimes. So
It is.
better to keep it away
It is.
as much as we can at least. Okay, Vivian,
Thanks.
the floor is yours again.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming, for joining us in this session. Joe, I will speak to you later after this
No
session.
problem.
Yep, I would also want to share something with you that we are going to launch next for MPA that I would like to extend the invitation to you. Everyone, thank you very much for joining, for your
Wait.
time. And the next Tech Talk is going to happen on the 20th of January 2022. What are we going to talk about next month? Hybrid cloud. So if you want to learn more about hybrid cloud, instead of hosting something in just one cloud in AWS, or tomorrow you decide to move over to Azure, it's going to cost a lot of money. But how are you going to do it on hybrid mode, hosting on both sides? Well, you can come and join us next month. Look out for the connection, for the link, for the announcement, and come and join us.